Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're excited because today we're going to talk about the full moon in Scorpio, which is also the total lunar eclipse. It's going to be crazy, you guys. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I have so much to talk about. This is honestly such a packed lunar event that I've got my whole list over here that I'm going to be referencing. So we're going to go through it all, okay? I am going to link down below my Scorpio season video. If you're not very familiar with Scorpio energy, or you just are wanting to learn a bit more about astrology in general, that's a really good video to check out because it goes fully in depth into Scorpio energy, what it is, how to work with it, how to use it, how to find it in your own chart. I also want to mention, as always, that I am doing readings on Hey Hero and on my website. So if you want to get a tarot or astrology reading with me, I will have those links down below and we can set something up. Okay, you guys, cool. Let's jump into it because there's a lot that we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to start with the specs, just like the general information that we need to know about. So if you don't know, it's going to be a full moon in Scorpio, okay? It is a total lunar eclipse, okay? So the full moon in Scorpio happens when the sun is in Taurus because it's opposite, you know what I'm saying? Sun and moon are opposite of each other. So obviously we are in Taurus season. It's very exciting. So this is going to happen Sunday, May 15th at 9:13 p.m. Pacific time. So definitely check out your time. But it's going to be 9:13 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sunday, the 15th of May. And the interesting thing is that, so 9:13 p.m. is when the full moon is peaking, but the eclipse is going to happen at 9:11 p.m. So if you're somebody who works very specifically, like down to the minute, that's just something to know. I don't really think it matters that much of a difference. So this full moon is going to be happening at 25 degrees, okay? So when we look at degrees in astrology, we know that 25 degrees is an Aries degree. So we're gonna see some of those sort of energies coming through. So a big thing that I have seen through the aspects, which we'll get into, is that passion is gonna be peak. Like, we're gonna be very passionate, very impulsive also as well with the Aries energy, but that is also stuff to maybe like be very aware of and be very mindful of because you don't want to like say anything that you're going to regret later, okay? And so with this happening in an Aries degree, it's likely that you might be feeling a bit more impulsive, a bit more fiery, a bit more confrontational. So just be aware that those things might come up, and when you're aware of that, then you can easily, like, you know, help yourself calm down and not say anything that's going to get you in trouble. So a big thing that I think is really helpful is to look at where Scorpio is in your chart. So if you can pull up your astrology chart, I will put in the description below how to do this. But if you've got your chart up already, check out where Scorpio is. Check out which house it's in, and note if there's anything happening at exactly 25 degrees of Scorpio, because obviously that's going to be exact with the full moon. But if you can look at where Scorpio is in your chart, see which house it's ruling, and understand that those traits of that house are going to be a lot more prevalent for you during this full moon, and a lot of these eclipse energies will be on that axis of Scorpio and Taurus. So looking at which houses those two signs are in for you will be really, really beneficial for knowing what kind of themes might come up for you. And I'll put my handy dandy little house chart thing here, so you can know what kind of energies go with each house. And also I'd recommend just like diving a bit deeper into that as well, because there's a lot that goes into the houses. And of course, if there's any planets in Scorpio as well, know that this will be a bit more of a, prevalent time for you. This eclipse, specifically this total lunar eclipse, is going to affect the fixed signs most. So fixed signs are going to be Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So especially if you have personal planets, any of your big six, within these signs, within 20 to 30 degrees, since this is happening at 25 degrees, you want to give like that 5-degree leeway. So anything within Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius from 25 to 30 degrees, those, if let's say if you have your Mars and Taurus at 25 degrees or something like that, you will know that that sort of energy is going to be really awakened for you, or it's going to be kind of something that is analyzed under this eclipse. As we know, eclipses are all about transformation, bringing things to light, and like illuminating things that maybe have been under the radar. So things with passion, your aggression, things like that will be coming through if it was something like Mars. So much stuff that is just so personal. So much stuff that is so unique and individual to your own chart, which is why I try to give you the tools to look at your own chart so that you can know. But let's talk about some more things with this full moon in Scorpio, specifically something that makes it really interesting. So the full moon in Scorpio every year is also called something called Wesak or Wesak. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It is traditional to Samhain, as we know, Halloween, where the veil is considered to be very, very thin, meaning the veil between the human realm and the spiritual realm. So spirit communication and connecting with those who have passed on, it's a lot more easier because that veil is thinner. Something to note is that when it's an eclipse season, not a lot, but kind of a lot of people really urge you not to do spell work during the eclipse. There's a belief that eclipses are very chaotic, very powerful, and so it's best to not do any spell work. I respect that belief because, you know, everyone's practice is their own. I would just tell you to not take anything for like law. Like, it's not like you can't do spell work. I would say listen to your intuition, especially since this is a time where the veil will be really thin. This is a really good time to do ancestor work or, channeling or spirit connections through meditation. So there's a lot of really good opportunity here. And I think that if you are feeling like you want to do spell work or you want to do something with the spirit realm, I don't feel discouraged just because some people say that you can't do any spell work during eclipses, because you definitely can. It's just a personal thing. Like, if you're feeling like overwhelmed, chaotic, if you're feeling like the energy is unable to be harnessed, then maybe pass on it this time. But if you're feeling good, in control, like well level-headed, then I don't know, go for it. But Wesak or Wesak is actually considered Buddha's birthday. It's not actually, I don't think, the day of his birth because it is different every year, but it's generally the time when people celebrate enlightenment and spiritual awakening, healing, transformation, things like that. So it's a really, really beautiful holiday and event to celebrate. So with that, being that it is all about enlightenment and spirituality, it is, as well as being exceptionally thin of a veil, a great time for spirit work, connecting with your spirit guides, and healing collectively and individually. It's also a celebration of life and death, transformation, and that all plays in so well to the Scorpio energy because, as we know, Scorpios are all about transformation. So this is a really good time to release any old patterns, shed your old skin, and enter a new phase of your life. So there are a few important aspects that we're going to talk about, and I'm actually going to be referencing my notes because there's a lot. There's not usually this many. There's a lot of important aspects happening. So let's just start off with a very important one. We've got the moon opposing Mercury, which is retrograding right now, okay? So having this opposition with a retrograding planet is really interesting, okay? This, again, is going to be maybe causing some of us to be a bit too speaking a little bit more than we maybe should, saying things that maybe we'll regret later, because with the Mercury retrograde, we're already having that bit of disconnection with our thoughts and communication. It's often a time where we'll say things that just don't come out right, like lots of miscommunication. So having the moon opposing that, it's almost like this disconnect from what you're feeling versus what you're actually conveying. So being really, really careful with how you're saying things. Be really understanding with others and ask questions to try to get the full story, because it can be really, really easy to misconstrue something or take something the wrong way. And likewise, it's really easy for you to say something that comes off the wrong way. So be careful with what you say, how you say it, and who you say it to. Big thing here. We've got a couple of beautiful trines. Okay, we're going to be having moon trining Mars. So this is going to connect our feelings with the moon to our power and our passion. So this is a great time this is great for transformation, because when we think of transformation, obviously you need to be like emotionally in it, and you need to have that power behind you to do the transformation and to like actually go through the change. And so it's a perfect aspect, in my opinion. I didn't mention, but trines are very, very harmonious. It's one of the best aspects you can have. So having the emotions and the passion in this great aspect, really helping each other with their power is so amazing. So we're gonna have a lot of willpower and a lot of passion coming through. Next, we have the moon trining Jupiter, which is also so exciting. Like I said, trines are super great, and this is amazing because, again, emotions from the moon, but Jupiter is all about luck and expansion. So this is helping us to kind of like explode into something amazing. So the Mars trine is helping us get that power, get that passion to do this, but the Jupiter trine has great ability to make this something really exceptional and to really help us expand into our next kind of like era. So yeah, great for manifesting, great for putting your desires and everything out there. One thing that we have that we need to talk about is we have the moon squaring Saturn, okay? Squares are not as cute as trines. They're not. They're actually kind of difficult because it can be a lot of, it's like issues and like they're not vibing. So having the moon squaring Saturn, this can often mean that old wounds and old traumas are being rehashed. They're coming up for us and it can cause a lot of discomfort and not fun times. So be really, really mindful, because this is connecting to the moon. Be really mindful of what you're saying, what you're thinking, how you're talking to yourself. You might feel like lots of limiting beliefs are coming up, and this is also common when we're having so much transformation and we're moving rapidly to our next like upgrade or our next cool era. We can really doubt ourselves and wonder like, you know, are we prepared? Are we good enough? All that. So be mindful of when those come up and allow yourself to recognize it and release those thoughts, because they're not going to be beneficial. But yeah, there might be some like negative thoughts about the self or things from the past coming up. If you're feeling this heavy, because a lot of us, depending on our own personal aspects, our own charts, will feel different aspects differently. But if you're feeling this aspect pretty hardcore, I would really recommend doing a release ritual, a sort of burning ritual, which I'll mention down when we talk about the rituals in a little bit. Next, we have the moon opposite Uranus, okay? So this is gonna add in some more of that impulsive energy as well, a bit of emotional reactivity. Again, thinking before you speak is really important here. I wouldn't make any rash decisions or any crazy changes of heart at this time, especially in terms of relationships. And Uranus can also add some emotional turbulence to how we're feeling. So if you're feeling very emotionally like all over the place, allow yourself some extra time to rest, because you might just be feeling this Uranus aspect extra heavy. Then another trine, which we love, we've got the moon trining Neptune, okay? And I wanted to mention that this Neptune is in Pisces. This is so cool. So as I said before, trines are really amazing. They're super powerful. They're super positive energy for us, and they're really helpful. So since it's trining Neptune in Pisces specifically, this is going to be such a heightened intuition. We might be feeling super like dreamy, daydreaming all the time. However, there could be some really prophetic dreams coming through. So if you're somebody who remembers your dreams, or you can lucid dream, I would pay a lot of attention to your dreams, how they're going, what kind of messages are coming through. And likewise, this brings in a lot of really helpful energy for divination. So this is really, really good, again, if you're doing that spirit work, mediumship, channeling, things like that. But yeah, I'm so excited about this aspect. And our last aspect that we're going to talk about is the moon sextiling Pluto in Capricorn. So sextiles are really good as well. They're another really powerful positive energy, kind of a burst of helpful energy. So this is really good for powerful transformation, because Pluto is the planet of power and transformation. So having that sextiling the moon is really amazing. And since we're having this in Capricorn, it's really amazing for practicality. So we're putting this power into things that are actually doable, things that are actually, they have like a plan. Capricorn is so stable and intellectual, and they're planned out. They're the CEO, like they know what they're doing. So it's a really great placement for having, being able to put our feelings and our desires into actionable steps. And this will also give us quite a bit of a drive as well to reach these goals. So let's talk about eclipses, because it is a hot button subject, and it's like really kind of, I think there's a lot of fear around eclipses, and there's a lot of, I don't know, I feel like the fear is kind of a misinformation thing, because I feel like energy is energy, and as long as we are aware of what might be coming up, it's like the ocean. Like, if we know that it's high tide, then we know and we can prepare, and we can act accordingly. And it's like, you can prepare for that. So it's not just like bad or good or anything. It's just something to work with. So this is a total lunar eclipse, and an eclipse happens when the sun, moon, and earth are all in alignment. And you can think of that spiritually, of like, it's kind of almost like in alignment, setting up for a new cycle until the next eclipse. So in a metaphysical sense, it's kind of like a sort of liminal space to be in. It's like a transition, and it's almost as if everything stops for a moment to get us back on track, to get us aligned until the next cycle, and to set us up for success. Eclipses, while they might be scary, sometimes they might shake a few things up, they are really, really beneficial, and they always help us to align ourselves and to get back on the right track. Eclipses can also be really tiring or really exhausting, so it's kind of dependent on who you are as a person and what your astrology looks like. Some people are very energized and some people are really drained, so really listen to yourself, because that can be an indicator of what you need. If you're somebody who overworks a lot, then maybe this alignment is here to kind of get you back on track and to learn to take rests again and to put yourself first. But we will see a lot of like monumental changes, big things will happen, could be sudden changes, but ultimately it's all for the good. So it's important to be gentle with yourself, stay grounded, listen to yourself. Like I said, spending time in nature is really, really good, just to like touch grass, literally, and like remind yourself of you're on earth and you're here and you're grounded. And that's just really beneficial, because it can be very, eclipses can bring you a lot into your head. And the big question is if you should or shouldn't do spell work. Again, I think that's a personal thing, up to you. Honestly, it can change per eclipse. It's totally up to you. So like I said, the energy is going to be powerful, intense, and transformative. Remember to give yourself some time, because it can be kind of draining, and avoid jumping to conclusions, avoid popping off and saying things that maybe you'll regret later, because there's a lot of energy. So definitely be aware of that. It's going to be so much Scorpio energy, which rules death, rebirth, transformation, that which is hidden, and spirit realms, stuff like that, all the fun things. So make sure to use this energy to transform your life for the greater good. And I feel like I've already had things come up. I had my first eclipse breakdown the other day, and I was like, damn, you're right. I do need to work on that. So it's all beneficial in the end. So I have a few crystals for you that I think are really, really good to have on hand. If you have these, you can use these in your spell work if you're doing so, or just keep them on you, as they can be really beneficial. So my first one is labradorite. This is one of my favorite crystals, and this is actually a crystal of transformation. So it's going to speed up that transformation for you. It's also connected to goddess energy and the divine feminine. So of course it's a favorite of mine, and connected to witchcraft and things like that. So if you're a witch, you're looking for some transformation this eclipse, then I think this is a great crystal. Tree agate is a great crystal to have for grounding energy. If you really feel like you're really up in the air and you need a lot more nature around you, a lot more groundedness, then I think this is a really good crystal to have. Then we've got clear quartz and smoky quartz, okay? These are for clearing your mind, because you could feel so overwhelmed in the headspace. You could feel like all over the place, and it's just really helpful to have that clear quartz and that smoky quartz, because clear quartz is good for clearing, smoky quartz is good for getting rid of any negative self-talk. So again, if you're feeling that, if you're feeling very hard on yourself, then smoky quartz is great for that. But clear quartz is really, really good for just general clearing, and you can also program it for any other energy that you want. Then we've got amethyst, which I would recommend if you're doing some of this fun psychic work, if you're going to be communicating with the other realms. I think amethyst and smoky quartz are actually really good for that. But amethyst is calming, it's cooling, it helps your mind again, so it will help if you're having headaches, if you're having a racing mind, and if you're wanting to just kind of like go into the higher chakras and like, get out there. It's really good for that. Then we've got sodalite. I have a lot of crystals today. We've got sodalite, and this is really good for clear communication. So if you're really feeling like nervous about being misunderstood or something, you want a little extra throat chakra help for you, then sodalite's really good for that. And lastly, obsidian, because we all need a little bit of grounding, and it's grounding not in the same sense of tree agate. Tree agate's more nature grounding. Obsidian is more like shit's too crazy, bring me back. And it's also protection and connected to Scorpio energy as well. And you can also use obsidian in if you are doing divination or spirit work, because it is kind of a protective stone when you're communicating with spirits and you're going beyond the veil and stuff like that. Sorry if I'm talking so fast. I know I am, but there's so much to get through and I don't want this to be so long for you guys. But this is a crazy full moon. So for rituals, the first one I want to mention is the burning ritual to release and let go. Like I said before, if you're struggling with a lot of self-doubt, a lot of negative self-talk, then this is something I'd really recommend. I always like to do one of these every once in a while. Basically, you can find some videos online. It's a pretty basic ritual. You can look up some, but the idea is that you're going to have a fire-safe bowl or a cauldron or something, and you're just going to write down the things that you no longer want to control you. So if you're having negative self-talk, if you're thinking these things over and over, write down all the things you want to release, cut them out, and burn them. That's it. And obviously you can make it more ritualistic with specific herbs and incense and calling upon your deities, casting a circle if you want, but that is the basic bones of it, so that this isn't a super long video. This is also a really good time to cleanse, so having a cleansing bath or shower to kind of ritualize starting anew. If you have a body scrub, or you can make a body scrub, using that to kind of symbolize like shedding your old skin and stepping into this new part of your life. I also want to mention my Spotlight Portal meditation and group ritual that I did. You can still get access to it. I'll put the link in my description down below. It is an amazing ritual and group meditation that we did back in the Leo full moon for stepping into your new bad bitch self, stepping into like a higher version of yourself, a more embodied, a more powerful, a more in-line and confident version of yourself. So I highly recommend, if you're wanting to do a little group ritual, you can buy that and it'll be the replay and it's just as powerful. And yeah, really, really good for that. So I'll put that in the description below. I think it's like under $20, so super affordable, very good. In general, divination of your choice, sleep rituals, tarot, channeling. If you're wanting to get a bit more crafty, making a sleep pillow. I have a little like this big from Goddess Provisions, and it's filled with mugwort and lavender. You can super easily make your own just with cloth and stitching it and putting the herbs inside. Leave it under your pillow and it helps you with lucid dreaming. And so yeah, I think having time to do divination or do some sort of like nighttime dreaming ritual, really beneficial right now because that veil is so thin. With that, also meditating for clarity, for peace, meditating on what your next phase is and any advice from the spirit realms for how to get there. Because again, the veil is thinner. You can connect with your spirit guides a lot easier. And if you're feeling like you don't know, like you're not feeling super clear about where to go or your next phase, then meditation I think would be a really good ritual to do. And lastly, sex magic, of course. So since it's the full moon in Scorpio, of course it's spicy, we love it. So it's a really good time to do sex magic if you are familiar with sex magic, or if you're not and you want to dabble in it. I will link below, so many links, but I will link below my sex magic podcast that I did, where I talked about the basics of sex magic, what it means to be a sacred enchantress, and some things that you can do. And I also highly recommend the book Sex Witch. I just did a review on it as well. I'll link that below. Really great book if you're wanting to get into sex magic. Alrighty, lastly, I have some tarot spread ideas and some journal prompts for you. So for the tarot spread, I created this 3-card pull. I always really like just going rogue, just pulling cards and letting it tell you the story, letting it take you on its own way. But I put together this spread if you just want a simple 3-card pull and you don't want to think too much about it. First card being what no longer serves me that I should leave in the past. Second card, what new energy should I step into for my greatest good? And the third card, how do I get there? So that's a nice little setup for like what to release, where am I going, and how do I do that? Simple spread, but again, I encourage you to go crazy. Pull some clarifiers, pull like a whole crazy spread if you want to. I love going like full, just seeing how many cards feels right. And okay, lastly, I have journal prompts for you. I will put them up on the screen so you can write them down or come back to them. And yeah, here they are. What am I ready to release? What am I holding on to which no longer serves me? How is my relationship to my shadow self? How can I evolve more while integrating it? Where would I like to be next year? Physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Well, that's all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was super fast paced. There's a lot going on here. There was a lot to say. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with all the energy, so I apologize if I talked really fast or if it was a little incoherent at times, but I hope that message came through. I hope that this was helpful and that you enjoyed, and I hope you guys have an amazing full moon. It's crazy energy, but it can be harnessed to be really, really good. So I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time. Love you. Bye.